Hey guys, welcome to Broad Street to Britain with me, Dave Shaw, and as ever, I am joined by Alex Carr. Alex, how are you, my man?
Hello, Dave. Greetings. Glad to be here. This is probably one of my favorite shows of the season, so I'm just excited to jump in.
We will get into it shortly. Alex is, of course, talking about the draft, which
I'm
is
buzzing.
imminent, and we will get into the draft. And we are now joined by our regular contributor as well, Stuart. How are you, buddy?
I am not too bad. I'm actually really excited to talk some draft. So my first proper draft research, doing some researching and stuff, some buzzing.
Oh, Stuart, you know it's coming, right?
I do. What? Oh no, it's not coming.
It's coming home, Stu.
I
thought
Dave, the videos you posted were brilliant. Oh my gosh.
I am still on the biggest high of my life, and last night was incredible. We went into Southampton to watch it at a sports bar, and it was rammed, absolutely rammed, like the videos you see at Xfinity Live when the Phils are in a playoff. It's that sort of buzz, singing non-stop. Ollie Watkins scoring at last. I know Stu is not taking this very well, being a Scotsman, but Ollie Watkins, when he put that ball in the back of the net, absolute, as we call it here, limbs.
A cracker,
I think I blacked out for 2 minutes during the celebrations and the goal. Just like you sort of come back down to reality of, oh my God, where am I? I'm not where I was standing 2 minutes ago. And the celebrations in the sports bar after, in O'Neill's, in the streets after, they shut down the roads, so the cars made it all pedestrians. So in Southampton High Street, all the sort of bars and the pubs.
Did they grease the poles, Dave?
Pretty much. Do you know what? I'm looking at those for Sunday, Alex. If we win, I'm eyeing those poles.
I expect a Phillies flag hanging from one pole.
If we win, it's going to be the one. And fingers crossed that they call it bank holiday if we do win, because nobody's going to work the next day.
Wait, really? Are they thinking of doing that?
Yeah, they have done every time we've made a final, and
that's very cool.
It'll be very cool. I'm pretty sure businesses will be opening very, very late on Monday, if at all.
I saw supermarkets like Tesco and such already, so they're closing on Sunday.
Yeah. Everyone's shutting down. Everyone's shutting down Sunday. There's nobody opening. It's all eyes around the country and around Britain. No, just the country. On the final Sunday. If we lose, we'll pretend it never happened. And the Euros never happened.
America could never, unfortunately. This makes me wish that like we took the Olympics and things like that a little bit more seriously, because America can't even get a day off for like, I don't know. I can't think of anything right now.
You had July the 4th off.
Well, yes, but you know what I mean. Like,
even we gifted you that.
There are other holidays that you feel like you should have a day off for. Wait, I totally glazed over that.
You did.
I like that. No, I just wish that, like, I don't know. I wish there was something more unifying here. That we could all enjoy together, and it doesn't feel like
it is strange how, like, if I'm sure if soccer gets bigger in America, it will happen, but it's a long, like, we're lucky here. It's the same in Scotland, the same in Wales. You know, football just brings the country together, no matter who you support. Like, I can guarantee last night during the celebrations, I was hugging and celebrating with Crystal Palace fans in there and arch rivals to my team, which. It just doesn't matter.
Crystal Palace was the first one that you couldn't. Arsenal, Chelsea.
Arsenal fan. There've been all sorts of fans in there. But when your country's playing, you just put that rivalry aside. And it's funny because the Dutch goalkeeper is, of course, a Brighton goalkeeper who, of course, is my team. So it was very. I don't know. At the time, I didn't really think about it. I was going nuts. But thinking about it this morning, I'm like, oh. Poor Overbruggen, but hey ho, we're in the final. Bring on the spot. I'm very nervous about the final Sunday. Spanish, they've looked good, but the standard hasn't been great in the whole tournament. So I don't think Spain have been really. I don't know. England looked good Wednesday. When was it? Last night. I can't remember now.
Ask Dave, what would you rather? England win the Euros or Phillies win the World Series?
Don't ask me this. Don't ask me this, Stu. Look,
this is my favorite soccer podcast. I'm telling you.
No, it's for one more week, guys. I promise.
No, dude, I'm not letting you.
It's
what would you rather?
Yeah, I think we should.
Now. If it was the World Cup,
yeah, I wouldn't blame you. I wouldn't blame you.
I think I would take the World Cup because I don't think I'm going to see it again in my lifetime if we do it, because it's so hard to win back to back. I would still, at this point, I would take a Phillies World Series over the Euro. Very, very close. Very, very marginal, because if we win it Sunday, I'm going to be an emotional wreck and there will be tears. But the World Cup's the one. You know, the Euros is going to be amazing if we can win it. The first trophy we've won since 1966 in a lot of our lifetimes now. But the World Series would still just top that.
I don't think there's a single person that would disagree with you, by the way. I think winning the World Cup is like, that is it.
That's
that is
the one.
it. Like the Olympics, who cares?
Yeah.
The World Cup's
the World Cup is it. That's it.
And hopefully England are going to have because a lot of our youngsters now, I promise we'll talk baseball in a second, but a lot of our youngsters now should be in their prime come the World Cup in America and Mexico
Jude.
and Canada and T. Hey, Jude.
Me and Dave
okay.
We were just talking about this beforehand, because obviously the World Cup and the All-Star game is going to be in Philly in 26. We're already talking about going over for it anyway, so I want to see Scotland there. So
be ready, Philly.
I completely forgot. That's a good point.
2026 Philly All-Star game. The World Cup will be at the same time, and of course, it's a very special birthday for America. During that time as well, on Independence Day, was it 250 years?
That would be, 250.
Yeah, cool. Well, no, that's not what I want to get wrong and have to edit out. Okay, look, let's talk about a sporting week. Oh, by the way, Wimbledon final. Oh, and Lewis Hamilton won the Grand Prix at the weekend. What a success! Wimbledon final this weekend. Look, hey, and the Phillies are the best, the hottest team in baseball right now. LA Dodgers. Okay, and we will bypass the Braves series. Like they caught us at a good time.
But we also did say, we said last week, and I wanted to bring this up. I think we were all pretty decisive. A 3-3 split on that road trip was all we wanted, right?
Yeah.
And I think, you came. I mean, what are they? 8.5 up in the division right now. We said if they're 9 games out by the next time we record, we're happy, right? It's 8.5. What are you gonna do?
8.5.
I'm not mad.
Because the Braves snuck a cheeky extra game in there that we didn't really take into consideration. They seem to be playing the D-backs all week.
I think it's a 4-game series. Yeah.
Yeah. So they played Monday when we had the day off. Although they did lose last night, we have put this Dodgers team to bed convincingly. Mm-hmm. Okay, with the third game's going to happen in about an hour's time, actually, as we record. But the series win, like the game 1, 10-1. Now I know they've got starting pitching difficulty, but the bullpen's still not bad, and that offense with Ohtani, Freeman. And the players of which my mind's just gone blank.
Smith as well.
Right. It's still good.
That 1 through 5 is quite scary. When you get to go from Ohtani to Betts to Freeman to Smith to Teoscar Hernandez, who, by the way, is like
home run derby.
Well, what is he at? Like 21 home runs this year? Something of that nature. That is a really scary top 5 of a lineup. But they're only missing Mookie Betts.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It's still an offense that's helped them fight to 55 wins themselves this year. You know, one of the best teams in baseball behind us. This has been the best series win of the season, without a doubt, especially 100%. After getting, coming away from Atlanta, having Bryce back, having Kyle back has been huge. Kyle's already come in and got a home run, 3 RBIs already since he's been back. Bryce obviously sat out yesterday. Bryce usually takes a bit of time to get going after any IL stint. So the All-Star break may come at a good time for him when we come back.
It's coming at a good time for everybody, I think.
I think so. I think so. And we'll get into some later on. But if we can sweep this series, which we could, Nola versus is it Banda tonight? Is it a bullpen game for them, I believe?
Yeah.
Is it a bullpen game for them tonight? Oh yeah, I guess.
I've actually got a lot of Dodgers friends in Los Angeles, and I was talking to them, and they are panicking that it's going to be worse than the 10-1 game. They're generally panicking right now.
I'm not sure about that, but what I am sure about is, especially with Bobby Miller getting optioned now,
yeah,
their rotation's in a really dark place. I mean, and a lot of these guys that are hurt, they did kind of come into the season knowing they'd be without Shohei Ohtani, Dustin May, but with Clayton Kershaw. But we talked about this a little while ago. These Dodgers pitching prospects, they cannot stay healthy. And there is definitely something organizationally that is really off about that. I don't know. It just feels like this is another emphasis to why it's so great what the Phillies have managed to do with the guys that they have.
Absolutely.
It's really exciting.
And we're saying All-Stars come at the right time. For them, I think this has come at the perfect time. They look like a team who are really ready for that All-Star break.
Yeah.
They're right tomorrow. Oh, so they're up against I don't know how to say his name. Is it Skubals?
Tarek Skubal.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, they're going up against him tomorrow apparently. So they're in for a bad run just now.
Yeah, they are. Thankfully, they have got a big lead in the West. The West, in general, has not been a great division so far this year. But the Dodgers do this every year. They run out to a big lead. They keep it when it comes to crunch time in the postseason. They struggle, and you can see without that pitching, the offense has been kept quiet. More credit to the Philly pitching more than anything else. Zach Wheeler won't start Sunday. Came out the game in game 1 after 5 innings, pitching nicely. Probably would have gone. Probably 6.2, 7 even innings the way he was going, but did get 1 earned run, 7 strikeouts, 2.7 ERA. That's him done until after the All-Star break. The bullpen, just again, I know it's rinse and repeat, isn't it? Is it even on the podcast? Bullpen, brilliant, pitching, brilliant. Well, what more can we seriously say right now?
Outside,
just unbelievable.
Outside of that first at bat of Zach Wheeler versus Shohei, where he struck him out, in 3 pitches, no big deal. That Matt Strahm at bat yesterday against Shohei was unbelievable. I mean, you're not gonna find a tougher lefty to pitch to outside of maybe Freddie Freeman than Shohei. I'm having a stroke.
You got it, Alex.
Shohei Ohtani. And I am so impressed with, again, we talked about last week as well, people that are just, after Matt Strahm showed a little bit of weakness, one time, maybe twice this season, and then, obviously Ranger Suarez's struggles, everybody's just like, why are these guys all-stars? Grow up.
Yeah, absolutely.
That at bat is all you need to see.
Go on, Stu.
I just think at this point of the year where people are a bit tired. Don't get me wrong. I think Ranger needs a wee break. Don't get me wrong, but the issue is if you haven't got a fully 100% Ranger, even a 75% Ranger Suarez is probably better than most pitchers in the NL right now, and that just says how strong we are right now as pitching. Especially Strahm coming in last night, the 83-mile-per-hour slider, man, that was just sweet music. Oh, it was beautiful. I popped so hard for that. It was just beautiful. And the thing is, he was so confident as well. You could tell, he wasn't fearful of Ohtani. And the thing is,
he always is.
We've kept Ohtani relatively quiet than I expected anyway in these 2 games. I think he had 1 home run in 2 games.
He got an RBI last night. Yeah, but that was it. That's actually Miggy Rowe, as usual, who's done the damage against the Phillies. Always did for the Marlins. Has done now. We can never keep Miggy Rowe down. I've got to say that Strahm, I conked out after 2 innings. I was very, very tired. And I watching it this morning. I tell you what, I got a little bit of goosebumps watching Strahm strike out Ohtani because the roar from the fans, Citizens Bank Park, it was like Strahm had just hit a home run.
And
post-season atmosphere at Citizens Bank Park on a Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Unreal.
To Garrett Stubbs' credit as well, that was phenomenal pitch calling from him. Especially Matt Strom is not a guy that is going to waste pitches, right? That's like against his philosophy. He rarely, if he has you on 0-2, he's not going to, throw a couple outside, maybe, some chin music and then come back with something nasty. He's just going to go after you, right? And what an outstanding call. That fastball prior to the slider that he threw was in the exact same spot. He didn't get the called strike. I think they were just hoping to chip the zone and get a called strike. Looked like it could have been. He didn't touch the zone, but he was really close. Didn't get the call, and then just goes right back to the exact same spot with a slider, and made Ohtani look ridiculous. It
really did. Yeah.
Really, really, really great calling from Garrett Stubbs that particular
And Alex, let's just put this to bed now, because I fully agree with what you're about to say. Now, we're talking about Stubbs and Marchand because we are so spoiled at the moment that seems to be the big debate. Marchand, Alex, if you can't see, has that look of, all right, I'm going to put this to bed now because it's getting ridiculous.
It gives me a headache.
Now, we're talking about now, not the future, not the offseason, not next year. We're talking about right now. Marchand and Stubbs. Alex, my man, put this to bed.
The fact of the matter is, when you're a backup catcher, you're not seeing game action for 4 to 5 games in between every appearance that you have, right? You're there to be not only reliable, and again, this is not to exclude Rafael Marchand from any of these compliments. Oh, I get the center stage. This is not to exclude Rafael Marchand from any of this. It's about reliability. It's about durability. And it's more about your defensive capability than it is about anything else, because you're batting 9th in the lineup no matter what, or maybe 8th, right? But you're batting low and nobody's expecting anything from you offensively. You are the backup catcher. If you need proof, go look at Austin Hedges. Go look at, there are millions of backup catchers in the world that, Rob Brantley from ages ago, Jeff Mathis from ages ago, right? They're backup catchers. They're there to know the pitching staff. They're there for their durability, for their defensive ability. They're not there to be a pinch hitter off the bench or to get some clutch RBI in a random game in which they happen to start to give the starting catcher a break. The problem with this opinion, or not opinion, the problem with this philosophy of wanting Rafael Marchand to stay on the roster when JC Realmuto returns over Garrett Stubbs is simply that Garrett Stubbs has been here for 3 years. Garrett Stubbs knows this pitching staff. Garrett Stubbs has called more games on a bigger stage. Garrett Stubbs is a backbone in this Phillies clubhouse. The majority of his time on this team is spent riding the bench. He warms guys up every now and again, and then he's back to the bench. He doesn't pinch hit. He starts every 5th or 6th game, and then he rides the bench. That was the same fate that Rafael Marchand would be subjected to. But the Phillies like Rafael Marchand. Rafael Marchand is a great player. This is not an argument over who the better player is. It's not an argument at all. This is a conversation about who better suits a backup catcher role. Everything points to Garrett Stubbs. Yes, he's been here longer. He is a big, big presence in the clubhouse. And he has called more games at this level. That is the end-all, be-all. Those are what his jobs are. And, again, it's this philosophy has long been that your backup catcher has to be somebody that is a big presence in the clubhouse. Like, that is oftentimes what people use the backup catcher role for. If you ever played out of the park baseball, it's literally what you use your backup catcher for in that game. Anyway, the point that I'm trying to make is Rafael Marchand is amazing. And he is he's been great in his time up at the major league level. I'm so happy for him. Loved this guy for ages. So happy he's healthy. So happy he's playing well. Let him get regular at bats down in AAA. That's the most important part because he needs to continue to develop. But on top of that, let Garrett Stubbs do what Garrett Stubbs is here to do. Why would you willingly thin out, your catching depth? Or, I don't know, your familiarity with because both players have options, which I did mess up yesterday, and I will own up to. Both players have options, but why would you willingly send the guy that's been paired with these pitchers for 3 years down to AAA in favor of a guy that's going to get maybe like 6 at-bats in a game that he's not starting? Like, it's a no-brainer. It is an absolute no-brainer. It shouldn't even be a conversation. And yet, we're treating this like a football roster in which all 53 guys make an impact all the time. That's not the case. Like, it's just not. So, I beg you, learn some ball and understand that this is what the backup catcher is intended for. Yes?
Alex, I have absolutely no more to add. You've nailed it. It's gone crazy.
I have one more thing. I apologize because yesterday I also saw people say, you know, if Garrett Stubbs is such a backbone in the clubhouse, why is it okay that we let him go next year? They might not let him go next year. They might sign him to another split deal. Like, he is beloved in that clubhouse. And not only that, but he's good at what he does. He is. But just because people just look at that slash line and they say, he's hitting 216, this guy sucks. That's not what he's here for. That's literally not what he's here for.
He is one of the pieces that's bringing Phil's this incredible run that they've been on the last year.
This is the guy. Everybody was in love with this man 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just everybody's turned coat and is like, nope, this guy, he's the problem. He's the problem. He's the reason we're winning or we're losing, every 8th game. That's him. Like, don't get it twisted. He is beloved in the clubhouse. He's beloved by the organization. They might bring him back next year. He's probably going to come back as a coach at some point, right? Like, he is the man.
Yeah.
So don't overthink this. Let Rafi get some at-bats in AAA. Let him develop. Maybe next year he takes the backup catcher spot. Maybe in 2 years he's your starting catcher. Like,
I think that could be the plan. I don't think they'd trade him. Do you think they'd trade him? A trade piece?
He is really the only piece of near MLB ready catching depth that they have outside of like Caleb Ricketts, and that's pretty much it at this point in time. There's guys like, Eduardo Tate that are, way down the line. But Rafi, I mean, the only question mark is, can he stay healthy for a full season?
I was just going to bring the health into it. In the past, the only thing with downside to Rafi is staying healthy. Now he's on a great run right now since. I think he hasn't.
He's a great hitter. He's been a great hitter. We knew this.
He's got some power. He's got some pop.
Well, no. I mean, he's shown some at the major league level, which is a shock because he, for a long time, nobody ever thought he was ever going to hit for power. And I still don't really see it. I think he's placing line drives really, really well. And he is just a really good hitter. He's got great back control. He reminds me a lot of who am I thinking of? El Tortuga. Willians Astudillo. If anybody remembers Willians Astudillo, former Phillies prospect, but also, had some time with the Twins and all these things. Was a catcher, terrible defender, but a great hitter, but with very little power. He very much reminds me of that same mold. But he's definitely got more power than Astudillo did, and he also is probably a bit of a better hitter in terms of his line drive placement. So he's good. He is really good. And I'm so excited about it, right? That does not mean that he needs to be on the major league roster right now. Yeah. It is more beneficial for him long-term to be down in AAA while you especially have a guy that has been here for so long. Use it.
Alex, I think you've nailed it. I think you've case closed. Can we get on? Everybody, let's move on. Let's celebrate.
Something to complain about. Good Lord. It was this and then the fifth starter.
Alex, let's go. Alex, he's on one. He's off. He's on. Let's talk about Trey Turner, grand slam in game one. There was a good split comparison between pre-standing ovation and post-standing ovation, which has just been unreal. His season average. Now he's hitting above his career average at the moment. He's averaging 0.345, OPS of 0.905 in the last 7 games alone. He's nearly batting at 400, 3 home runs, 10 RBI. He stepped up when Kyle and Bryce were out the team. We wanted he would do it. We hoped Trey would do it, having just come back from injury himself. This is the Trey Turner. And I've got to say, this is the Trey Turner and more that I thought we were going to get. And Stuart, so far, I've got to say, he's more than made up for that pre-standing ovation trade, Turner. And so far, he's been worth every penny of that contract.
Oh, I could argue in the last 2-3 weeks, he's probably maybe been the best player in baseball now.
I would say maybe since like last August.
His stats would show it. Yeah.
I mean, in my preseason predictions, I actually had Trey Turner for MVP. Well, I don't think that's going to happen now. I would argue the last month and a half. Well, since he's been back, he has a strong case for it. But just right now, like, come back to haunt the Dodgers, obviously, which is always probably a bit sweeter for him as well. I do feel like right now he's just on an insane run, and I don't really see it stopping. Like, even at shortstop, his defense has picked up since kind of last year as well. He's not making errors really that much. He's just been honestly like dependable. Like, anytime he comes up to bat right now, you feel quite confident like he's at least going to get a hit, he's going to get an RBI, he's going to get on base, plus he's stealing bases again. Because when he first came back, you could tell he was a bit he's probably taken it a bit easy, but obviously having a hamstring injury and stuff like that. But now, like you said, his average right now is insane. As well as like
345?
345 season average, yeah.
That's just mad, man.
It is mad. When you think about it, in this day and age of baseball as well, that's insane.
And he's striking out less, which is that's imperative. I mean, he's only struck out 44 times in 15
The whole team, Alex, is it me or is it just, I feel in general the whole team is striking out. Kyle Schwarber's slash lines have been I got to say phenomenal, because last season, he was either an automatic strikeout or a home run hitter. There was no between. Now he's walking. He's a walk machine. He gets on base. He's a big contributor to the runs. Obviously, his power in the summer is phenomenal. His home run rate is phenomenal, but he strikes out less. The whole team, Alec Bohm rarely strikes out. Bryson Stott rarely strikes out. The whole team in general, I feel the whole strikeout rate has taken a dramatic turn from last season.
The highest strikeout percentages of the Phillies regulars, I should say, is Brandon Marsh at 32%. He does strike out quite a lot. Some of that is from bad calls on him, which is very interesting. He gets called out looking quite often when he does not deserve to, which is really unfortunate. But he also walks a lot, so that offsets a little bit. Kyle Schwarber at 27.7%.
Which is still way down, by the way, on last year.
Very much so.
I think he's still leading the NL in walks as well.
Yeah, he's walking at a 16% clip. Again, if you're going to strike out a lot, at least you're going to walk a lot. Or at least you can walk a lot, and that will offset it a little bit. Then it dips all the way to, well, it doesn't quite dip. 26.9% is JT Realmuto, but he's, kind of only played 50 games on the year. And then it sinks all the way down to Nick Castellanos. If you had to guess right now, Dave, Stu, what's Nick Castellanos' strikeout percentage? The league average, I believe, is like 23, 24%.
Now, I feel that last year, this was a major problem. Of course, swinging outside the zone. It was in the playoffs. It was horrible.
He's still chasing. He's still chasing.
No, he's still chasing. I think it's below. I don't know. I haven't got a clue. But I would say on my Philly eye, he's below average.
Below average, like higher than 24%.
No, lower.
Lower. Okay.
Lower than 24. I think he's lower than the league average.
Okay. Stu?
I was literally going to say the exact same thing.
Nick Castellanos is striking out a 22% clip. That is, in comparison to his last few years. Last year, he struck out at a 27.6% clip.
And Nick Castellanos, one of them hurt.
And as I did tweet earlier today, Nick Castellanos, since May 4th, is pretty much paralleling his career slash line. He's hitting 263 with a 461 slug, 10 home runs, 25 extra base hits. Since May 28th, that guy's hitting 286 with a 497 slug. He's got 18 extra base hits over his last 37 games. That's pretty good. I don't know if some quick math tells me that's 1 in every 2 games he's coming up with an extra base hit.
I find it quite funny when Cassie's doing bad, everyone goes, well, not everyone. A lot of people go to town on him. But when he's doing good, nothing's mentioned.
Nothing at all.
Come
But
on.
that's
Cassie's like you said, Cassie's having his career, matching his career stats, how good he was with the Reds, how good he has been everywhere he's been, how good he is in the back of his Topps card, as what people keep referring to. He's at that level now.
Yeah.
Where's the praise?
He's been doing it for 2 months. He's been as good as his career averages for 2 months, and we haven't heard really a word about it. By the way, the Phillies also have 4 regulars, I'll put it in quotes, with an under 20% strikeout percentage. Trey Turner is 18.4%. Johan Rojas is at 17.9%. Now, he doesn't do the most damage, but it counts. Yeah. Bryson Stott at 15.3%, who is also walking at an 11.5% clip, we should say. And Alec Bohm at 13.5%.
There's my boy.
They're not striking out very much. It's
noticeable. It really is. By the way, Cassie's doing better now than when he was last year, getting into the All-Star team. You know, he got into the All-Star team last year, playing far worse than what he's playing right now. And probably, if he had this form all season, would also be a candidate to be in the All-Star team again.
Legitimately, it's just the bad April that is dragging him all the way down. That April really hurt his numbers on the season. If he keeps hitting the way that he is right now, you're going to see him with a 2, 3, 4 slash line pretty soon, and that's about all you could ask for from him. Especially at 32.
I suppose I get why. You've got Trey Turner absolutely on fire. You've got Kyle. You've got Bryce. You've got Bohm. You've got all these players take it, and the pitching, of course. You know, there's so much good stuff to talk about. That Cassie's fantastic run in the last 2 months has sort of gone under the radar because there's just so much ahead of him to the headlines, the stars to pick out from, the amazing stats and statistics that we've had all season. And you've got to go quite a long way down to see that, Cassie's having a really good little turnaround since April. That just sums up how good and how incredible this first half of the season has been for the Phillies.
Yes.
Yeah, that wasn't really going anywhere, but yeah.
I let Stu take the floor, but
no, I was just going through all the I was just going through the stats there of Castellanos, and I was like, wow, blown away by how he's been recently. It's just the thing is, I think what Dave's right though is like because the bar's set so high with the rest of the team, and you kind of get lost in the shuffle pretty much, and it just shows you. And the thing is, like you think about a lot of the moments of the season. A lot of walk-off moments like have involved Castellanos with a couple of walk-off RBIs.
Yeah, right.
So he's won us games as well. So it just shows you like that's the thing about this team. A lot of it is unsung heroes just because you got Schwarber, you got Bryce, you got Trey Turner, you've got your pitchers Nola, Wheeler, Ranger. It just shows you how each person has contributed this season. But no, big play to Castellanos. Unsung hero, deserves all the love, 100%. I love Castellanos. I do. I've always loved Castellanos. I don't get the hate. I can actually safely say I've never given him hate, so that's one thing.
I think sometimes people want to find someone to hate when things are going bad, and sometimes he's made the scapegoat.
Yeah, he's the go-to guy. You blame Castellanos. That's that. It's either blame Castellanos.
Him or Nola, definitely.
People are still blaming Taijuan Walker, and he hasn't pitched the game.
True. Right, let's work our way to the big D, the draft. Quickly, the All-Star Phillies, incredible. 7 players. Organization.
Could be 8. Record. Could be 8. I'm still holding out hope for Chris.
Could be. But Wheeler could be. Well, Wheeler won't be used, would he? But
they already accounted for that. They already accounted for it because he was going to be pitching the Sunday prior anyway. So they were already accounting for the fact that he wouldn't be pitching. So that's already been done. I just wonder somebody else is going to pull out at some point.
No, I think there's a good chance you might say Sanchez there.
It would be insane if Chris Sanchez didn't get to go.
And he pitched excellently again last night, by the way.
It would be crazy.
And I've got to say, Harper, Bohm, Suarez, the starters. Wheeler, Turner, Hoffman, Strahm, all well deserved. I'm not having this because the Phillies doing so well and the fans have rigged the voting. They've all
they didn't even get to vote for the pitchers. Those guys were just put in by committee.
And by the way, I will not be doing the Bohm song for every home run that Bohm hits in the home run derby. It's not happening. I've been asked a few times. I'll be watching. But if he wins it, yeah, we'll do a special Bohm song. But I am not recording.
I'm going to put my Phillies bias aside first. Who starts for the NL pitching? Is it Schemes?
I think so.
I think it should be.
Yeah, the story, the headlines.
It just makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
And he's been magnificent. He
was insane today.
Yeah,
crazy.
Oh,
but
wasn't he?
I think there is also there's something to really be said here. I mean, so many people, again, are just trying to find signings of Dave Dombrowski's to complain about. Matt Strahm is an all-star. Dave Dombrowski signed him to an extension before the season began. That's probably like the smartest move anybody made in the offseason, and no one's talking about it. So
again, because I think there's so much has happened. It's just like
probably think Nola contract and stuff like that. You don't contracts like that go under the radar, don't they?
Yeah, but you can't say that because then everybody's going to come out of the woodwork and come get you. Yeah. If you try and talk about how good Aaron Nola is.
Let me clear up the end of the business before I let you two dive into some drafts, because I'm going to take a sit back and listen intently. I was going to do some trade deadline stuff, but we'll save that for nearer time. Bellinger's now injured on the IL. That any hopes of that? Ken Rosenthal, I think, said that the Phillies will not be making any moves on Robert. I did do a poll.
I still wouldn't rule it out, but right now where that price tag is, definitely not.
All right, I tell you what. I'll give you a list of names, and you two tell me which one of these list of names would you rather have. Bellinger, Taylor Ward, Lane Thomas, Tyler O'Neill, Brett Rooker, or our friend Randy Arozarena.
Perfect.
Yeah, nailed it.
I was scared of pronouncing it. I was like, I've got him on my list here. I was like, please make sure I don't have to pronounce it. So
I was just going to leave it at Randy, and I thought, no, I'm going to give it a go.
Rosarena.
Oh, that's
Jeff,
now
Jeff
how it's going to go. Alex, out of those names, just pick a name. Which one?
Well, Tyler O'Neill's not happening because the Red Sox are competing. So that's certainly not happening. As far as that list, taking into account all of the factors of what you'd have to pay, what you're looking for in terms of defensively on top of what you're looking for offensively, and what fits best with this team, it's Taylor Ward. It's Taylor Ward. It has to be. There is no better fit for there are definitely better fits out there that, are not going to get traded, but there's no better fit on the market currently right now. Arozarena has been really disappointing defensively over the last few years. Brent Rooker cannot play defense. Lane Thomas is also a bad defender, but on top of that has not had a good year. And I don't remember who else was listed, but the Phillies need a right-handed hitter. Taylor Ward is a right-handed hitter with insanely good peripherals. Plays solid left field. He's just a really good player. He's a guy that you can dream on because he has a lot of upside, especially if you get in some protection.
The Phils and Angels tend to deal pretty well, as we have in the past. And I think we'll probably get a good deal for Taylor Ward as well.
I think that the value that he is expected to bring back is so ridiculously low for how good of a player he is. And it's because he's 30. He comes with 2 years of control. This is a guy that you can probably get without dipping into your, I would say probably top 8 prospects. And if you are dipping into your top 10, you're probably only giving up one of those prospects. And then, a flyer or two. It feels like, a couple of mid top 30 prospects and maybe a flyer can get that deal done. And, that feels insanely low for how good Taylor Ward is. I highly advise that everyone go back and look at his last couple years. He's a monster. He's very good, and he's had no protection in that Angels lineup because Mike Trout has always been hurt, and same with Shohei Ohtani, really. So he's very good. I really think the Phillies should be all over that. It would be great for them to land a center fielder, but that is not out there right now. It's just not.
I was going to say probably Taylor Ward, but I'll probably throw out a couple other names. Ian Happ, possibly.
Sure.
Your name, Tommy Pham, such name I've heard.
Not happening.
Don't think so.
Nope. No.
That's already been proven by a lot anyway, hasn't it?
I can say pretty confidently the I don't know what the bit. I know that there is some issue there. Go listen to Phillies Therapy. They're. I think they've talked about it before. Matt Gelb knows something that the rest of us don't, but I have also heard a couple of things. To kind of put the kibosh on that for sure. That's not happening.
Okay.
No-go.
Another one, obviously, I know Dave is not a fan, but I still feel like Jazz wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
It does feel like the chemistry would not mesh.
and that is big.
It is big. And at the same time, he's
not very good defensively, right?
For what he's expected to bring back. That, and also the Phillies don't need another left-handed hitter that's a free swinger. They just don't.
Well, that's a good point. Yeah.
He's not a center fielder. He's a second baseman, and there's no way around it. They've tried to make it work other ways, and it's just
hasn't. And he's lazy out there now. And he's
not lazy. Again, I take issue with those kind of assessments because he is a no. It's okay. It's okay. No. I just think that's so easy to say about a player that is on a bad team and has been on a poorly managed and poorly executed team for so long. They have not done anything to help him. He's hurt often. I wouldn't be very happy either if I were him. But
maybe lethargic.
I just don't think he's inherently a high energy player. Like, he loves when his team is winning, and he plays with a lot of
and to be fair, when the Marlins were chasing a postseason spot down, he did come into his own.
Yeah, he's a good player. Don't get me wrong, but it's just chemistry-wise, it doesn't feel like a fit, and at the same time, he does not fit you. Like, he doesn't fill in at a position that is helpful for the Phillies. He doesn't. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
All right, let's do this, Alex.
Oh,
this is probably my favorite point of the season, getting Alex into the draft. Now, this is true. So you said this is your first time, following the draft.
Let's let Stu lead. I want Stu.
So Stu, you've gone all in. It's your first time even studying the draft, what the draft's about, how it's done, which I love because there'll be a lot of people out there as well, new fans.
They're right with you
here in UK and Europe, probably doing exactly the same as you are right now, Stu. So you are that guy. You're new to the draft. Now, my knowledge is terrible as well. And that's why I lean on Alex a lot, because Alex and Ryan Owen, to be fair, two guys who know their stuff, know their prospects. Jack Fritz, another one. So, Stu, I'm going to throw my name out there, and then I'm going to sit back and watch you two.
Oh, excellent.
Well, actually,
got a name.
I'm going to confess. All right, it's not my name. I got it from.
I don't know your first, but it better not be the same name that I've got. All right,
it's gonna be because I got it from Jack Fritz, and I did some research to him, and he looks good. All right, so I'm gonna throw the name out there.
I don't really. I sometimes I'll listen to Jack every now and again, but I don't really listen to a lot of Phillies podcasts.
Before anyone says anything, I'm just gonna say mine's a pitcher. Okay.
Yeah, I know exactly who yours is, Stu.
Okay, so is
Jack's a pitcher?
He's also a pitcher.
I know who it is.
Okay. It's PJ Morlands. Okay,
that's not mine.
Oh, PJ Morlando is not a pitcher actually. PJ
Morlando, the Phils.
He's a prep bat.
Still in college, isn't he? As well.
No,
he's
high school.
So, there you go. PJ Morlando, Jack Fritz.
I like that name from Jack. That's bold.
He's all in. Jack Fritz is all in on that one.
On PJ Morlando.
Right. So, Stu, Alex, the floor is yours.
Stu, after you.
All right. So
I know who yours is.
Like I said, Dave said, this is my first ever time doing the draft. So I first thought going into this, I know a lot of fans will listen to this as well, have never even gone into the draft, no idea about it. So I first thought it was going to be like NFL, NBA, except the NBA obviously got the draft lottery for the first 6 or whatever. But I didn't realize the amount of rounds there was going into this. It's insane.
And they even cut it down over the last few years.
I saw that, which is insane. And then you got the first round, which was like, oh, cool. Then I saw it was like prospect promotions incentive picks this year. And then I can
explain that to you if you'd like.
Yeah. I know there's a compensation picks batch, which I understand is basically when a player has been traded and they get compensated for that.
Not quite, but close. I'll explain it. I'll explain it in a minute.
And you got competitive balance, which I believe is for your small market teams. can't kind of compete. Then of course you got your second round, and you got your competitive balance again, and your compensation picks again. So I went into this, and then I saw there's basically, because of the bonus pool system, doesn't necessarily mean that the best player available will get drafted either. So that added even more unpredictability. So then I was trying to think.
Ew, very good.
I'm very impressed.
All right, and then I was thinking, right, I was going through all the players, like kind of mock drafts, going through like doing a couple of mock drafts myself, and I've picked my guy, okay? And I generally think this is special. I think Alex knows who my guy is as well.
I do.
So I want you to tell me why the Phillies should draft Brody Bichette.
So close, Brody Brecht.
Okay,
yes.
Brecht. Okay.
He is okay. So first things first, excellent job. To explain all those things very quickly, in how you just laid them out. You get a competitive balance round pick if you are bottom 10 in revenue sharing. That's just it's basically you get a second first round pick because you don't have money, right? It kind of helps balance out the way that you develop and refuel your system, as it were, if you can't spend. You get compensation picks for if a player leaves in free agency and they decline a qualifying offer. So if you are a team that is bottom 15, I believe, in revenue sharing, your competitive balance round pick comes after your what am I trying to say? Your compensation pick comes after the second round. If you are those are picks that can be traded. I was
going to add that in. I forgot about that.
Your competitive balance picks can be traded. So if you are a top 10 team in revenue sharing, your compensation pick would come after the fourth round. So it's not as good, but it's still an extra pick before the fifth round, which is still typically like in the early 100s. So that's, we like those. Those are good. The Phillies will certainly be looking at that should they lose somebody like Jeff Hoffman next year. But I digress. Pretty much all completely correct. However, the bonus pool system is probably the most important thing that you brought up, because this happens often, right? The Orioles, maybe 2 years ago, drafted Heston Kjerstad in the first round with their first round pick, knowing full well that they had a competitive balance round pick to pick later in the round. Drafted Heston Kjerstad to get a good available talent that they could sign under slot, and then signed another player for more money later on that fell to them, basically getting two better talents for, and spacing out their picks in the first round in kind of a strategic way, right? So that's how that works. Brody Brecht, awesome college pitcher.
Played football well. I think he played football. He's proper Iowa guy.
He's Iowa. Okay.
Yeah,
so Brody's great. He is basically the Hurston Waldrop of this year. Hurston Waldrop being the guy that the Braves picked last year. We've seen him in the majors this year. Lots and lots of great things to say about him. Stuff is fantastic. Got 2+ breaking pitches. Really good secondaries. Great fastball.
I did say I watched a couple of his videos. I'm not gonna lie, I do love him, but obviously because he's still really young, his command needs a lot of work.
So there would be the Harsha, right? Hurston Waldrop's biggest problem last year was his command. You're looking at Brody Brecht, same thing, right? This is basically, to put this in Phillies terms, this is a more highly advanced Griff McGarry or George Klassen that pitched at a higher level. That is, the command is something to dream on, but it's also, there's reason to believe that it will improve with major league development. But yeah, he's nasty. He's filthy. The only thing is,
I was going to say, in the span of 2 weeks, he became Iowa's all-time strikeout leader, which is mad. And for the fair, I will say they've not had this would be their highest drafted player, pitcher, since the 80s. So the standard's not that high. But
you mean Iowa pitcher since the 80s?
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense. The Phillies also, this could play into that as well. The Phillies have a guy that played at Iowa in their system. They have Keaton Anthony, who is a non-drafted free agent, who is destroying low A and high A ball this year. I think he's hitting like 400 over 10 games at high A right now. He was a non-drafted free agent that they nabbed, and he's killing it. The only thing is, I personally do not think Brody Brecht gets past Atlanta. That's the unfortunate thing. I don't see it happening. They are constantly having another stroke, picking pitchers that they can fast track to the major league level. And he is as obvious a case for that as I think we've seen since last year with Hurston Waldrop, who made it to the big leagues in the span of a year, right? So it is definitely, I will also say, I tend not to love taking high stuff, low command pitchers with your first round pick, just because the Phillies have proven over the last 3 years they can find those in the later rounds. You look at Alex McFarland, you look at George Klassen, you look at Griff McGarry. Now, obviously, with Griff McGarry, it didn't work out as well. That's still a story that is ongoing. Yes, he still has great stuff. You look at Orion Kerkering, right? There's also really high reliever risk to guys like that because their durability isn't always as great. The command not being so great obviously sticks out like a sore thumb, and can kind of lead to you being more of a reliever type. So those are reasons why you'd want to be apprehensive about Brody Brecht. However, he is filthy. He's disgusting. He's absolutely gross. Everything about him is disgusting. He's got awesome stuff.
I would highly encourage people to go watch this video, especially near the draft if you're a Phillies fan. Like Alex said, looking at the draft, like the order, there's a couple of teams that could take him. Baltimore might be one of those teams as well.
Atlanta is the one that I would really watch out for, unless they take Jurangelo Cincy. It feels like he's a match made in heaven for them. However, another really interesting thing to consider, if you do draft Brody Brecht and you're at the deadline and you're like, oh my goodness, prices for relievers are so high, this is insane. Well, that guy's going to move pretty quick. So we could, you could look at another kind of piece of depth, like what Orion Kerkering was when the Phillies first drafted him. It's a very, very interesting. 27 is a tough place to pick because you are either going to get a supreme talent that has fallen because of signability issues or because of litany of reasons, or you're going to kind of be stuck with, the 27th best prospect in the draft. Ultimately, it would be a dream if Brecht could fall to the Phillies. I don't see it happening, but I will keep my fingers crossed.
I've been on the hype train. I've been tweeting about it. I think Alex probably saw my tweet. I've just been fully on watching highlights from him. There's a couple of others names, but Brody's kind of the one I've been thinking. But I was going to ask a quick question because a lot of people are probably asking me as well, or probably going to ask as well. So if a team drafts a player, right, and they can't work out a contract, does he just go back into the draft the following year?
No. So typically, this happened with Kumar Rocker. Well, yes. If they are eligible if they're eligible to return to college, they will return to college.
Okay.
Sometimes that's not the case, and sometimes they'll go sign with Kumar Rocker was. So if you are not familiar, Kumar Rocker, the Mets drafted in 2020 maybe. I think it was 2020. It was definitely 2020. They drafted Kumar Rocker in 2020, and he did not sign with them. So instead, he was weighing offers from independent league. He was weighing offers from, he was like, I'll come pitch for your team and it'll be great. And I don't actually think he ended up going back to school. I can't remember how that resolved itself, but then did re-enter the draft the next year and was picked by the Rangers. Now that didn't exactly pan out too well.
I can't remember. I read a case.
But if you fail to sign your first round draft pick, you receive a compensation pick next year in the same spot. So if the Phillies failed to sign their first round draft pick, they would get pick number 27 next year, regardless of where they're.
Oh, okay. So they could have two picks in the first.
That's round. What happened with the Mets picked Jet Williams and Kevin Parada, I believe, in that first round, where they lost Rocker. And they had like the 14th and the 8th pick in the draft, I think. So they, you get that, and then you also, your bonus pool increases because of the value of that pick, the slot value of that pick. So it can be a really interesting play to do something like that, but it's not recommended.
Yeah. Perfect. Another name I was going to throw out at you. If you've got time, I don't know if Dave has.
Yeah.
Time.
Oh, please! I got all the time in the world.
I've not took notes from him yet, but I watched a couple of his highlights. Is from North Carolina? It's Vance Honeycutt.
Yeah. Woof.
I feel like what I saw.
Vance is absurdly toolsy. So a lot of people have concerns with guys that are super toolsy but don't have a great hit tool. Vance Honeycutt is that. He is not a great hit tool, and unfortunately, he also is showing some not great signs. He whiffs a lot in zone, which is not great. However, he's got absurd power. He's ridiculously fast. He's an insanely good defender, and he has a really strong arm. He is a center fielder, 100%. He hits for power. He can run. I mean, he is an incredibly complete five-tool player, were it not for a bad hit. Or I wouldn't even call it bad. It's just not great, but there are some concerning signs about it. He has been linked to the Mets more than any player I've seen linked anywhere, which is very interesting because I would not trust the Mets hitting development to develop a guy like that, but he's been linked a lot. So I think unless the Mets are super cryptic and nobody actually has any information on what they want in the draft, I feel like he's like almost guaranteed to go to the Mets. Every mock draft I've seen anywhere has him going to the Mets.
Alex, who do you see the Phils realistically getting at the first round draft pick?
Well, Dave, isn't that an interesting question? I think that somebody like PJ Morlando would be crazy. I think that would be a really interesting strategy. He's a guy that is like, probably not even a top 50 talent in terms of like regional rankings right now. However, I know he impressed at the combine, and I know that he is a very highly touted high school prospect. I do think that he has, because of where he is ranked this year, he's probably going to want to go to college. But that would be a really interesting pick because you could probably, sign him for under slot and then, look to use your second round draft pick, which the Phillies have for the first time in, I don't know how long. The Phillies haven't had a second round draft pick in like 11 years. It's been a long time. It's been a really long time. Maybe not 11 years. That's too many. I don't know. It's been a while. But yeah, so the Phillies finally have a second round draft pick. Uh-oh. Stu's gone.
Go carry, Alex. I'll get it back.
I'll carry. So the Phillies haven't had a second round draft pick in a long time. So they could theoretically use their first round pick to select somebody like PJ Morlando and then hope that another high school talent falls to the second round, and then use that excess cash that they save to sign another, high ceiling guy. I don't really see them doing that. That's not something that they've kind of showed willingness to do in the past. And especially when you're picking so low, that likelihood of somebody dropping becomes really, really low. So it's a little difficult to see happening. But should I name my guy?
Name Alex, as Stu rejoins us. Name.
Oh, brilliant!
Name your guy.
So, I think, based on previous draft trends for the Phillies, and based on where they're picking, who's going to be there, a guy that I consistently see falling to the Phillies is Theo Gillen. Theo Gillen, who has the best hit tool of any high school player in this draft. He is a second baseman or a shortstop. Probably profiles a little bit more as a second baseman long term. Doesn't really have the arm to move over to third. There's questions about the arms for shortstop as well. Maybe a second baseman. Great hit tool, above average power. He's really athletic. He's one of those pure hitter kind of guys. That being said, the Phillies have strayed away from that in the past. The Phillies passed up on guys like Colton Cowser. I guess Colton Cowser was selected before their pick, so it doesn't really count. No, they passed up on Colton Cowser. They have tended to stray away from hit tool heavy guys. Theo Gillen's real good. He's real good, and he is really, really interesting. I think regardless, they're going to go best talent available. That's just what they're going to do. It is what they have been doing for the past few years. I mean, again, Mick Abel was not supposed to fall to them. Andrew Painter was not supposed to fall to them.
That's true.
You know, Aiden Miller, that's insane. But it was because of his injury, you know, people were concerned, right? All of those guys were not supposed to follow the Phillies. They did, because a lot of these teams with high draft pick capital, they try and, you know, take guys that are going to either be over slot or, you know, at slot signings for them. So a lot of these guys kind of fall down a little bit. And the Phillies have kind of sacrificed later round picks to sign a big first rounder. It's worked out so far. I mean, Aiden Miller, obviously the Mick Abel thing is, you know, what it is right now. But Aiden Miller and Andrew Painter are unquestionable hits. And the Phillies being able to do that with somebody like Theo Gillen would be pretty cool. On top of the fact that they have second, third, fourth, and fifth round picks this year. They have every single pick, you know, possible for them this year. So I don't know. I'm really excited to see what Brian Barber does with a full deck. Because they haven't had a full deck.
And when is the draft, Alex? Is this
draft
Sunday?
is on Sunday? It is on.
There
Sunday.
We go.
There's another. I was going to say there's one more name I'd throw out.
Sure.
About it's catcher Caleb Lomavita.
So there's been a lot of buzz that the Phillies might take a catcher.
Yeah.
Again, nobody knows what the Phillies are going to do. Nobody knows. Yeah. Nobody has any idea. But there are two catchers within like the top 30. It's Caleb Lomavita and the guy that played for
I know I had him down
NC State. Who's the guy that played for NC State?
Oh, fine. I know there's the other guy that I saw.
I can't remember. It's okay. It doesn't matter. But there's a few catchers that could fall to the Phillies range. Problem is, I don't think they're probably so high because they're catchers. That's the thing. They're not the best available talent at that pick. And I don't think there's a world where they would be the best available talent.
I've seen a couple of mocks with Phillies getting mocked with Caleb, and I think it's down to the fact, obviously, JT.
It just makes sense. It does make sense, but the Phillies are not going to be drafting for need here. If they want a catcher, they can trade for a catcher. Eduardo Tate. Oh yeah, go ahead. Steve.
I watched some of Caleb, and I must say, like, I wasn't blown away.
I watched the entirety of the College World Series, and I saw all of those guys play, and I was not having a great time. It was very. Again, catchers are hard in the draft. Catchers are really, really tough because they need to get more physical and grow in order to truly reach their potential. I'm not about it. I think drafting for need is always kind of a mistake instead of just picking the best available talent when you're at 27. But on top of that, the Phillies have some catching talent that, you know, you'd probably take over some of those guys. Eduardo Tate, just to name one. But, you know, there's also Marchand as well, but there's also Caleb Ricketts. Caleb Ricketts is, you know, he's a high hit tool guy, low power. The defense needs to come a long way, but the Phillies are great at developing defensively minded catchers. So, I mean, I don't know. I think especially with what they've seen out of Marchand this year, I don't think drafting for need is going to be what they do here. I think it's just going to be best available talent. So if somebody, by the grace of God, falls, you know, they can go ahead and
if PJ falls, I'll be quite happy with that as well.
Well, PJ is probably going to go to college. I don't think PJ is going to sign. I think he is a guy that. Do you mean Theo Gillen? Maybe is that because that's who I was talking about?
Was it Theo? Was that the one that was like? He's shortstop.
Yeah, PJ Morlando is less touted right now. He's kind of lower on the regional list side of things, or national list side of things, I should say. But I don't know. It could happen. It could. Yeah. I just don't see him going that high. But he is a good player.
So by the time we next pod, we'll have our drafts. So
Holy cow.
We will try and do a draft special. It depends if England win the Euros, because I may be able for a few days after. But we'll pod. I'd say we'll try and do a couple of pods next week. We'll try and do a draft special pod and then we'll do a pod after the All-Stars to get us into the second half of the season and look ahead to what will be the Pirates series. So we will reconvene this when we have who the Phils have draft and who's gone where, and we'll do a draft special. We'll aim for sort of, if we can, Tuesday, Wednesday next week. And then we'll try and pod normal next Thursday, looking post All-Star game. So you have it. So Theo Gillen, Alex, is your man, which
in terms of what's going to be available and overall talent, I mean, unless somebody like, I don't know,
Brody Brecht.
Yeah, if Brody Brecht falls, that would be insane. I would not be able to believe it. But I mean, we're talking like, I don't know, somebody insane falling. I'm looking at this list right now, and I'm just.
By the way,
can't
guys,
really see anyone falling.
If you're not already, follow Alex Carr, because
I will be locked to my computer over. But I mean, there's also guys like I mean, Christian Moore has had a lot of helium for Tennessee. If Christian Moore fell, like, that changes your calculus a little bit, because he had such an insane College World Series that, like,
there's the one
you kind of have to pick him.
There's the pitcher from Mississippi that I've got down. It's like right-handed and left-handed.
Yeah, Jurangelo Cinci.
Yeah, who looks like it's going to. I don't think he goes anywhere near the Phillies. I think he's
no.
From them.
Atlanta is so pitching minded these days that I don't think either of those two guys, one of Brody Brecht or Jurangelo, is getting picked before the Phillies, or before the Braves, and then the Braves are picking whichever one hasn't gotten picked. That's just, in my opinion, that's what. And by the way, Dave, if you don't know who Jurangelo Cinci is, switch pitcher.
I love the name.
Switch pitcher, Dave.
Yeah.
How's that?
Switch pitcher. He pitches with both arms.
Yeah, I saw some highlights and he's insane. Like I
can't even get my mind around that.
Isn't that something? Like, he's the Pat Venditti of the college world, and he starts, which is crazy.
The first round draft for us in the UK, the first pick will be 12 a.m. So it's if you're, I imagine Stu will be up.
Ages. Oh,
it will be the All-Star break. So there's nothing else to watch. So I'll be waking up to Alex's tweets and notifications on, and catching up with who we've done, who we've picked later on. But we'll have a draft special, because I'm looking forward to Alex bigging up all our guys. And he hasn't been wrong so far.
Honestly, the really exciting thing too is, again, the Phillies' second, third, fourth, and fifth round picks. That's the thing I'm most excited for. First round picks, you know, it's always a weird, you know, roller coaster ride. But there are so many good late round talents in this draft. It's really, really interesting. Like, so many guys that like could move really quickly, like Gage Jump, who is a possible second rounder for the Phillies. They pitched for LSU. Like, he was like a top high school prospect like 2 years ago. Like, it's exciting. It's an exciting year for the draft. I'm very, I'm amped up. It's going to be a good one.
I can, Alex, you always are. You always are for the draft. I love it.
This one feels different though. Yeah, this one is really cool.
I'm my first draft. I'm buzzing. I'll be following Alex's every word. I might even send him a message on Twitter as well.
Do.
Just make sure, be like, this guy's just like get some ideas and how it's going to go, some predictions mid-draft as well. So, I'm buzzing.
Absolutely.
You can't predict anything, but what you can do is just sit back and enjoy the ride. And then, you know, as long as you can do some research on the player,
I'm still buzzing. I'm going to do some research for the late round.
Do.
Because I haven't got time for that yet, so I'm excited for that as well.
Yes. Oh, it's so addictive. It's really fun.
I just listening to you two is just it's cool. Like, I just have not got the time also to dive into. This is why I've got you two here. You know, I just do not have time in my busy life to go into all the drafts. I wish I did. Just looking how excited you two and everybody else, like Jack and Matt Winkleman, you know, the guys who
follow Matt.
Yeah, Matt Winkleman as well.
Knows everything.
Very quickly, we'll wrap this up. So very quickly, this weekend against the A's, it should be Formality series win. Tyler Phillips goes on Saturday is what
really on Sunday
interests me. Who goes Sunday?
We don't know.
Oh, we don't know. Right. Yeah, I thought you knew that. A bit of breaking news. No,
I don't know.
Winner, of course, out. So we don't know who goes on Sunday yet. Just a very, very quick prediction to wrap this up. Stu, I think we end with a sweep. I think it'll be the perfect finish going into the All-Star break. Stu, what are you saying, buddy?
I'm going sweep as well, but I do think Sunday might be one of those games where it could go either way. But before that, I think it'll be quite comfortable. And I think we'll win tonight as well.
Yep. Alex?
I don't know. I'm nervous. I feel like it's obviously A's pitching is bad. So it's it's all in the offense's hand at this point. But yeah, I don't know. For some reason, I feel like there has to be some kind of karmic penance to be had for the Phillies, kind of destruction of Los Angeles this week. So I'm nervous, but all I want to see is Tyler Phillips, get some strikeouts. I am so excited for him. He deserves. We didn't really talk about it, but he deserves every moment of this. The guy is a grinder. The Phillies have had faith in him. Listen, the Phillies' faith has paid off for the Phillies before. And the Phillies have had faith in him consistently since grabbing him from the Rangers. I really, really think that if he sticks to the plan and he throws that sweeper as often as he did the other day, he could really be looking at an interesting opportunity here. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed for Tyler. I think it's a 2-1. I think depending on who the Phillies have going for Sunday.
What could interrupt is basically is if it's a close game and bring out Mason Miller, then it could get a bit nasty. That's really it.
Well, he hasn't been great of late, but yes, it could.
I'm more confident that we're at home.
And Brent Rooker is obviously going to show off.
And yeah, I was going to say we're going to see Brent Rooker, who maybe want to really see Brent Rooker with a bit of a point to prove, a little bit of a trial, maybe.
He might stay, might not leave.
Maybe he doesn't get back on the plane. Well, he's an all-star, right?
Yes, he is. I think he was their all-star.
Must be.
Yeah.
Must be. Yeah. Not.
Oh no, Mason Miller is. No, he's not.
Is he not? Oh.
Rooker hasn't gone at all?
Mason Miller is, right? They didn't. I don't think so.
No, Rooker got picked. I swear
let's look it up.
All-star. Oh, quick. By the way, the Phillies have got out of the little jam that Nola had. They're at bat at the moment.
He was in 2023, but he's not named to the 2024 All-Star.
Wow, I thought he was two-time All-Star.
No. It's Mason Miller.
Got to be an All-Star to be in the Phils. I'm sorry.
But
no, that's it from us. So there you go. You're fully prepped on the draft. The Phillies have kept on rolling, the best team in baseball, the first team to 60 wins, and it's been an incredible first half of the season. Incredible first half of the season. We'll try and do 2 shows next week. We'll try and do a draft special, and then we'll try and do a show just before the season reconvenes. But from me, Dave Shaw, thank you very much for listening. Thank you for watching. Ring the bell, Stu.
Ring the bell.
And Alex.
Ring the bell, Dave.
Let's go.